In mid-February of 2026, Metrolinx President and CEO Michael Lindsay spoke publicly about the progress of the Ontario line and offered one of the clearest statements yet about how past major transit projects in the region, especially the Line 5 Eglinton Crosstown LRT, are influencing the way future work is being planned and delivered. His remarks came at a media event where the province and Metrolinx revealed new construction milestones on the Ontario line, including breaking ground on an elevated guideway and beginning work on multiple future stations. The Eglinton Crosstown LRT is one of the largest transit expansions in Toronto's recent history. Its construction spanned more than a decade, and it officially opened in February of 2026, roughly 6 years later than originally planned, and long after its initial announcement. What was meant to be a relatively straightforward addition to the city's network became a cautionary tale of prolonged construction, costly delays, and extended testing, with impacts that extended into public perception of transit delivery overall. Lindsay and other Metrolinx leaders have acknowledged that the challenges of integrating new rail systems, particularly those involving complex signaling, operational procedures, and coordination with existing networks, have not been trivial. He specifically pointed to lessons learned from both the Eglinton Crosstown and the Line 6 Finch West LRT when discussing how the Ontario Line team is approaching future stages of the project. According to Lindsay, the main lessons come down to systems integration and testing. On past projects, the sequencing of work simply didn't leave enough time or planning up front for how all parts of the system, from signaling to train controls to vehicle operations, would work together once construction was complete. That meant long periods of testing and conditioning after civil construction was largely finished, which in turn extended project timelines. In Lindsay's words, consistent with the lessons learned from the Eglinton Crosstown that we'd been discussing over the last couple of weeks, we're trying right now to think about how we front-load systems, integration considerations to reduce that testing and conditioning time. In plain terms, front-loading means planning and coordinating systems-level design earlier in the project lifecycle so that by the time physical construction is done, less time is required for checking whether everything, including signaling, trains, control systems, and safety protocols, works together correctly. It's a shift away from completing civil construction first and then figuring out how all the technical pieces fit together. This move doesn't just help avoid delays, it also has practical effects, like reducing the risk of months-long testing periods after track is laid and stations are built, allowing Metrolinx and its partners to identify design clashes earlier before they slow progress, improving budgeting predictability since fewer unknown integration hurdles remain at the end of the construction. The Ontario line is a massive undertaking. It's about 15.6 kilometers long with 15 new stations and connections to multiple subway, LRT, GO Transit, streetcar, and bus lines. Unlike past projects that were largely surface light rail routes, the Ontario line includes extensive underground segments, elevated guideways, and major structural works like new bridges over the Don Valley Parkway. These elements make coordination between civil construction and technical systems even more critical. Lindsay's emphasis on early systems planning reflects an acknowledgement that finishing construction is only part of the challenge. Getting trains running reliably and safely on opening day is just as important. There's also a political dimension. The early communications around the Eglinton Crosstown were focused on a specific opening date, which ultimately came to be missed repeatedly, contributing to public frustration and skepticism. Metrolinx has indicated, implicitly, through these comments, that it would rather avoid rigid deadlines and instead focus on more realistic sequencing of construction, systems integration, and testing. However, not everyone is convinced that these lessons are fully being internalized. Some transit advocates, local politicians, and construction analysts argue that Eglinton's delays were symptomatic of deeper issues, like contract structures, coordination with contractors, and even project prioritization, that cannot simply be solved by changing when testing is planned. But the shift towards front-loading systems integration is one tangible change that Metrolinx appears to be adopting. In past documentation and board meeting minutes from prior years, Metrolinx staff have highlighted internal efforts to transfer expertise gained on big projects like the Eglinton Crosstown to other works, including better track installation practices and knowledge transfer across teams. In addition, projects like the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, a planned extension further west along Eglinton, and other large builds like the Scarborough Subway Extension are also under construction or being planned, which means that these lessons are not just academic, but relevant across the broader Greater Toronto Area. I hope that you liked the video. If so, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed and want to be notified of new videos that are released, please click on the Art Toronto button here.
This is the video that I would recommend for you to watch next, and I'm sure that you're going to love it. Here's the playlist for all of the latest in transit news and views that you're going to find very informative and interesting. And finally, here is the latest video. Thanks for watching and happy transiting.